There we go. Good morning. Welcome to Daily Devotions with me, Pastor Steve of Family Worship Center, as well as your pastor of the Northwoods. Almost forgot my intro there, as I have been away for quite a while from doing these videos. We had our yearly business meeting, also known as Network Summit, for my district in this good old state of Wisconsin. And so that's a convention where I go and meet with all the other pastors of the entire state. And it's an incredible time. I mean, not to make a long story longer, but I really look forward to that time. And so we're back. We're kicking. We're back into schedule. Kids are in school. Everyone's in their regular routines, And my cats are all over my desk. You just can't see them. They have been attached to the hip. They don't like it when I leave, apparently. Even if it's for even if it's only for 2 days. Excuse me. Well, let's just jump right into it. All right. Let's just get it rolling. We are in Hebrews 11, verse 6. Hebrews 11 is a chapter, and we'll see it here in a little bit, that is about faith. And, and you'll see it here in a moment, that this is going to be about faith in general. Hebrews 11:6 reads, "And without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him." I think this is a tough verse to swallow, because we have to understand the concept that you have to look at the yardstick by which we are judged when we enter into eternity, and into the concept of good works, I guess, is the other way. And this is where I'd like to start out with. Being a Christian, being someone that believes in Jesus, is not the prerequisite to doing good things that God would find pleasing. Let's just look in a micro sense, okay? Like, if and someone who doesn't believe in Jesus fosters some children that need care, or adopts, or Christ adopted us into his family. He's got a wonderful, you look at that deed in a microscope and you're like, that is pleasing to God. That thing, right? And there's a list of things we could go over, but I'm just going to focus on one thing. However, in spite of that, is that's not what we're judged at, because we all have sin in us and have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, as it reads in Romans. Sin is what separates us from God, and the punishment of sin is death. And so the yardstick by which we are justified is Jesus Christ, that when God looks at us, he'll see Jesus instead, right? And that's a Jesus that's active and lives inside of us, right? And so this verse is explaining that without faith in who? Jesus Christ, it is impossible to please God, because even if you did as amazing things on this earth, you're still judged by that yardstick, and that there's still sin that separates. Because anyone who comes to him must believe that he, Jesus, exists, or God, and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. Chapter 11 is a chapter that is like a reminder. You got to think of it like in terms of like a courtroom or a court case, where the author of Hebrews, which we don't know who it is laying out in a definition, an argument, a case for faith. Because we see, Hebrews 11:1 is a very famous verse. "Now faith is confidence in what we hope for, and assurance about what we do not see. This is what the ancients were commended for," right? They were commended for their faith. Because you have to understand, Jesus didn't exist in the Old Testament, right? He existed in heaven, but he wasn't physically on earth in the Old Testament. So how did that work? Well, This is what the ancients were commended for. They were commended for their faith, right? By faith, we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible. And then by faith Abel, by faith Enoch, by faith Noah, by faith Abraham, right? All these people were still living by faith when they died. They did not receive the things promised, the prophecies of Jesus Christ. They only saw them and welcomed them from a distance. They understood that there was something coming down the pipeline, but it wasn't yet to be received. Admitting that they were foreigners and strangers on earth, people who say such things so that they were looking for a country of their own. If they had been thinking of the country they had left, they would have had an opportunity to return. Instead, they were longing for a better country, heaven, a heavenly one. Oh, I could have kept writing. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared a city for them. And Jesus said what? I go to my Father's kingdom to prepare everyone a room. Then we continue. By faith Abraham, by faith Isaac, by faith Jacob, by faith Joseph, by faith Moses again. By faith the people passed through the Red Sea on dry land, right? By faith the walls of Jericho fell, by faith the prostitute Rahab. And so, what more shall I say? Now, time for Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, Samuel, and prophets. Right? Through faith, conquered kingdoms, administered justice, and gained what was promised. Who shut the mouth of lions? Go through these, and this is verse 39. These were all commended for their faith. It's an issue of faith. Yet none of them received what was promised, since God had planned something better for us, that only together with us would they be made perfect. This idea of faith in Scripture. We're New Testament Christians, right? We live post the crucifixion of Jesus. But the idea of faith in our relation, in its relationship to us and God, and that being the connecting bridge, has been consistent since Genesis, since the very beginning. Because, how do you gain righteousness? Through Jesus Christ, faith in Jesus Christ, right? Abraham didn't have faith in Jesus Christ. He had faith in God the Father. And God says that Abraham's faith was credited to him as righteousness, is what it says. In fact, it's just for the sake of, here we go. Just to make sure I got all my things. It'd be Genesis 15:6. I couldn't remember the exact reference, but there you go. Genesis 15:6 is where that is. And the reason I went through this whole chapter, because obviously I didn't need to, because here's our main verse, is because, and this is just because I know it's coming. But if you had the Bible in front of you, you could just flip the page and see it. We have this word, therefore. All right. Sometimes the Bible has really weird breakpoints in chapters, so don't be super committed to 11's done, we have to stop, we can't read 12. Just kind of glance to see if there's a weird page break. This finishes the thought of Hebrews 11, and I kind of wish 12 started here, but whatever. That's just what it is, right? So therefore, this is the finished thought of the faith and action chapter we just read. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. This is about faith. I think the opposition, the things that make our faith wane, are weariness and losing of heart. And so how can we do that? Well, let's consider Jesus, who endured such opposition from sinners, yet still paid the price for us to help grow our faith. Because the author here, Jesus said it, God showed it, showed it and said it, that faith is so important to the believer. It's the thing, right? That's it. That's what really unlocks everything else that comes from this, our faith in Jesus Christ. Whew. Good devotion for today, huh? How about that? Well, once again, let's go back to Hebrews 11. Oopsie. Our main verse here. You can see it. Perfect. Well, I'm Stephen Jellin, the pastor of Family Worship Center, as well as your pastor of the Northwoods. It's good to be back, and I'm looking forward to the next video, and I'll see you there. Have a wonderful Thursday. Goodbye.